kushukuru mimi sitachoka. Ay, 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 ay. Nashukuru pale nimetoka.
Hi guys, my name is Ben Psycho, and some time back we had a show just for the men. The show was called The Den, and this is it. This is it back under the Jared Networks, and I hope that we are going to have some fun and some insightful conversations. I want this to be a platform where we get to speak men stuff to the men, by the men, and just understand one another. Even the women are allowed to come watch so that you can be able to know how to handle us better, because, you know, we are a bit sensitive and top priority in this country. I feel like I'm recording the Psycho podcast once again. Do you guys remember the Psycho podcast? We used to record it back in 2020 when I was suffering in one shirt and juice. But karibuni, make sure you subscribe. We're going to have a good conversation. Today, I'm going to be talking about me and my money, I guess. So let's go. I am Ben Psycho. I'm a creator. I'm an artist. I'm a podcaster. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I also serve in church, and I'm happy to be here, I guess. Ooh, that's a deep question. What makes me who I am? There's my personality. There's me. There's the value system that I've created for myself. I have to be Christianist kiasi, and that there's God, There's the Bible, and there's the worship songs and the hymns. But what makes me who I am is it's my personality and the values that I have and the systems that I have. Yeah, and those around me. I think all of them compound together to make me who I am. That sounds like a simple question, but it's a very deep question. So you need to answer it in the comment section. What makes you who you are? Very deep. So in 2024, we had some shocking statistics that were showing that men between the ages of 35 to the ages of 45, there was an increase in the rate of suicide. And one of the leading causes was financial constraints. So let's talk about that today. Can I remember the lowest moment that I had in my life? I'd trace this back to 2019. I was broke. I felt like my dreams were going dark. Music wasn't working out the way I would have wanted it to. I didn't have a clear career path. Like the way maybe when you're starting out at a job, you can say I'm this junior level. Maybe in the next 2 years, I'll be at this level. The thing about being in the creative industry is that sometimes you can't make those projections, because if people have not subscribed, like now, the way now you're watching, it becomes very hard for me. Yes, guys. But that was 2019. Like, I didn't have a clear path to know what was going to happen, because I didn't know that I didn't even know that I was going to do podcasting. So it was a low moment. And then at the same time, I was taking care of my sister who was sick, and we had to look for money. So I just go back in my bed sitter and just get depressed there. I used to spend a lot of time in that house. It was a dark season, I didn't have many people. I think the only person who knew what I was really, really going through was my girlfriend at that time, Wanjiru. She's still my girlfriend even up to now. But yeah, that was the lowest moment for me. It was just dark. What did depression look like for me? I didn't even know that I was depressed. I actually thought I was pretty, I know how to maneuver depression. But sometimes life can get you to a position where you feel really helpless and there's not much you can do. So what depression looked like was I withdrew a lot from people. Like, I really just wanted to be by myself. I'd finish everything, just dash home, and just be by myself, watch movies, shows, whatever, listen to music. I didn't want to hang out with people that much. I was really withdrawn, and I didn't know what this thing was. But it's because I was full of so much anxiety, are we gonna get money to maybe take my sister for treatment to like a better country, or like, is anything ever gonna work out? So it was just a dark season, to be honest. I was very hopeless. Yeah. trying to get solutions during that season, like trying to see what can work out for me, So musically, remember I would try and look for some of the best people in the industry. That's the time that I met Sedo, and we did the song New Song. Like you can even hear in that song, it just sounds like this person is going through a lot of problems and he needs a new change. That was where the inspiration comes from. And so that was one of the areas that I tried to find solutions. So what I also did to try and help my financial situation was maybe get a job temporary. I always used to look at it as a temporal solution. So I worked somewhere. I interned actually at an agency. Remember, for 6 months, I didn't ask for money. Then they started paying me. They would give me like 20K that would sustain me for a while. And then, so I remember we used to go to work together with my girlfriend. She used to work somewhere else as well. So she'd drop me, then she goes, then we'd go home back together. And then that's now trying to find financial solutions. With regards to content, I also didn't have a plan because I didn't know what to do. Influencing was also not that big because influencing and podcasting and this digital content really took a huge turn during COVID. So at that time, I'm trying to see, am I really doing enough? So my self-esteem is in the pits. I just don't feel like I am worthy to speak in some spaces. I remember I used to have some great ideas, even at work, but I just couldn't share them because of what this season does to you. It makes you feel like you really don't have much to offer this country. You need to chill. Umeswara una lunch. Hauna lunch na unataka kutuambia where we'll take this company. Look at this guy. Yeah. Also, in that season, something else I didn't know is that depression made me very bitter and angry, very provocative, Like I remember, this is sad. I'm not proud of myself. I remember one time we did an interview somewhere. And, like later on, this person comes to tell me, yeah, we did that interview, but we didn't have any other guests. So we were just like, we don't feel like your interview gave us any value. Like somebody telling you that and you're going through, I just couldn't believe it. And I just, boy. I'm not proud. But let me tell you, the old is gone, the new has come. Yeah, so depression also there's a way you're acting out and you don't know why you're acting out. And that was one of the moments that I'm not so proud of. Yeah. I don't think Wanjiru really... now, during that season, I don't remember speaking to as many people about it. Maybe my mentor at that time still is my pastor, Reverend George. I would talk to him, a lot of times, and he'd encourage me, telling me, let me tell you, God has called you for greatness. Did he tell you, Percy? Did he really, like it just didn't make sense at that time. So I'd try and talk to my Rev, Wanjiru. But I didn't want to tell so many people about it because I also felt, to a point you also blame yourself. It's like you're not smart enough. You're not innovative enough, or rather you're not pushing enough. And that's the problem. The problem is that you're not pushing. I just didn't know that sometimes there are breakthroughs that come outside your control. It's just, you don't control that. And, when it's your time, it's just your time and you just shine. So I never spoke to so many people about it. But I would just go home and try and numb the feeling. Just be by myself. Yeah. So now, do I feel the pressure to make money at this point now? Yes. I think that's one of the things that I've not fully recovered from. Like, I'm always scared of going back to that place. And I think I'd do anything not to go back to that place. Well, anything is a stretch, but it's like you try by all means possible to make sure you don't go back. So like I know how I work with money is that I want to have a backup for a backup. And I want to have like a cushioning such that I have the next few months, or rather a good number of months, I've cushioned myself and know that this can work by then. Such that if I don't get anything between now and that month that I have planned for, now I know, okay, maybe I'm in red. But yeah, it's one of those seasons, even when you grow out of, you still have that fear low key that what if you go back, So I think one of my main goals in life is just to settle as much as possible. Like, I just want to settle in terms of work, settle in terms of home. We'd love to own our own home, such that now I know there's a cost that I'm never incurring again, just to make sure that I've cushioned myself as much as possible. So that season, it makes you have a very tight grip on money. Yeah. Such that to a point where you don't even buy stuff for yourself, Like, I see how my wife spoils herself and the way she buys nice stuff for herself. But I ask myself, when was the last, like, can you spend the same amount of money to do that? I'm like, no. So I keep hoarding it, and just holding on to it. And by the time I'm buying something expensive or something nice for myself, it has to have some value, maybe to a music video, or there's an event, or I'm supposed to meet this client. And how I've noticed it works out in my life is, my wife will ask me, hey, you bought a very nice shirt, why aren't you wearing it today? I'm like, but I'm not going anywhere. Wanjiru can buy an expensive dress and she will wear it when she's just chilling in the house. I feel like I'm wasting resources. So I would never do that. But if I have something nice, I have to maybe wear it when I'm going somewhere really important. Yeah. What's a financial constraint that my wife thinks she understands, but she doesn't really understand? Is that if we fail financially, it will be a failure on me. It will not be a failure on... I don't see how it will be a failure on her. I feel like that would be my responsibility. I don't think she gets that. I don't think she would understand that because she's not in my position. So I feel like that for us, if we don't plan ourselves financially, I feel like that will be my mistake. What it feels like, wow. It has some pressure to it, and it means what it feels to carry that burden is that it has some pressure to it, but it also helps that my wife is also a very good planner, super planner, and she, like, the kind of planner that she can panic if she has not planned. So that helps me a lot to really calm down. But what that burden feels like is something has to succeed. You have to make it. So yeah. Wow. So that line for it has to work, I know it sounds nice sometimes. It's been romanticized especially in the entrepreneurial space. But how has my journey been? It has come with it a lot of anxiety, because you see, in this space, you don't know if you're still going to get partnerships, if you are still going to get advertisement, if you're still going to get innovative ideas. What if people just unsubscribe? Like, wameboeka tu na umseko, like, ai, we want someone with hair, please. Like, there's that pressure and anxiety of where is this going to, and where are we gonna be some years from now? So I remember, like, even when we made our first big partnership, we didn't spend that money. We took it back into the business, and we were okay with it. It was not a fight. So you deny yourself a lot of things so that this can keep growing. And even for this to keep growing, it's a risk. Last year we did a show, Love on the Joyride. A show was expensive, we put in a lot of money. And it did what it did. Maybe it didn't get to where we wanted, tumejiona Oscars wa Hollywood. Unajua tuko hapo tu tuna advice kina Tom Cruise. Hii mambo mnafanya huku ni mambo kuruka kwa ndege, hiyo ni mchezo, But it just did what it did to a certain point, And so you have to come back to the table and keep asking yourself, what's the next move? How are we going to innovate? How are we going to grow? Are we ever going to get to where we want? But sometimes I always go back to 2019, where I was very passionate about just maybe speaking, maybe arts, maybe creativity. But I didn't know that this is what it will have given birth to. So even now, I don't know where 4 years from now, what will have given birth to, So that's one of the things that, just give me hope and just, keep trying, keep risking. Let's keep pushing the limits and the envelope. We see how far this will go. Yeah. What does failure look like to me? So practically, with regards to the shows, is like when the shows are not doing well. Like, the thing is about shows is that they give you a graph. They give you a graph on the back end. So when you see that graph is doing like this, failure. You need to do something. When you drop a song that's not as good as the other one, I just feel like, man, it's like we are really missing the mark. And another form of failure is also when I'm not making as much revenue as I did last year, same time. That looks like a failure. And sometimes it can get to you. So the thing that I really don't like playing with, for example, number one is the shows and the music. And believe me, the album is in its final stages. Oh yeah, so the album is ready. I'm just waiting for the final masters from Sioka. He was mixing them in Cape Town. Bravo. Hey, munanijua kweli. We are now on the final steps of releasing the album to the digital streams. Why is that funny?
I'm so proud of you for getting this far.
Yeah,
I think, since when did you start working on this album?
It's taken over 1 year.
Okay.
Other albums take Adele yake inaenda kuchukua ngapi sasa? Sisi Wakenya ndio tunataka tufanye in 25 minutes. It is in its final stages, But yeah, when you drop a song, especially, look, like, let me give you a story. When I dropped that song called Asante, after 1 month, it only had 20,000 views. And I was like, you know what? Failure. Close this. Done. Kaput. Like, this is gone. And I thought that song just, that was the end of it. And then December 31st, people start playing it so much on their WhatsApp stories. Not even this 31st, the other one, And then now it's trending on TikTok. Everybody has it. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I need to change my mindset, because sometimes for some things to work, you just have to be forced on people's faces so many times until people say, like, you know what, let's just keep doing this. Now, I'm not that kind of a person. If I drop something in the first 2 weeks, it's not all over. I'm like, you know what, let's close this book and let's start another chapter. So the other day I was with a friend of mine who's a big artist in the gospel. It's a super legend, has done things nobody has done. And he told me that your problem, Ben, is that you don't push long enough. I was like, you know what, Papa? You're right. It's because I get bored. So that's what failure looks like in terms of work. How does failure affect me? Oh, I feel less of a person. I feel like I'm not a good creative. I'm not so talented in my space. Losing my mojo, and maybe it's time to exit the scene and leave it for the Gen Z. So I have a very bad relationship with failure. It affects me. So sometimes I have to ignore that something is failing. Just where you see it going down, but you're like, I didn't see it, so that you stay focused on something so that you can keep pushing it. Because in my industry, you succeed also by how much you push. Push is a big thing in this space. How do I beat myself up? With whips. No. How do I beat myself up is that I just sulk. I just be by myself and feel bad about it. Just feel bad. I really withdraw. I just want to be alone and just feel bad about it. But I always try and encourage myself later. But I have that season where I just feel bad and terrible about failure. What's the scariest thing about the future for me? Is that I'm not in a conventional industry or job or space. This is a business, and it's also one of the first times when I'd say we were one of the first people to push this podcasting envelope to just greater heights. So it's not like engineering where you can sit down and say, hey, na watu sahi wanajenga Kamulu, that's more business, Or so the scariest part is that I don't know where the trends are going. I don't know what people will be consuming. I don't know what this will be. I don't know all that. So it's just a game of risk, and maybe it works out, or maybe it will work out. I know it will, but that's the scariest part about the future, is that you can't really predict. Like the way, if you're a doctor, you can come from this level, just go to school, get more information, come back, you're assured of a promotion. You get as many gigs as possible. with this space or with this space that I'm in, you can make your projections, you can plan, you can go to the T, but it's still the creative industry. And that sometimes scares me. That's why I'm normally so focused on settling as much as possible. Yeah. Ama nikuwe MP.
Dragon, motor texting.
What I hope for the Den is that this becomes a space for vulnerable conversations for the men, you know, just for us to check in and see how we are doing. And I hope this grows into that platform. Ahoo! When I say ahoo, just subscribe.
Nashukuru pale nimetoka. Kushukuru mimi sitachoka. Nashukuru pale nimetoka.